Hey, everybody, and welcome to the July 10th, 2024 Parks and Community Services Commission meeting for the City of San Ramon. We are going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Brad, since you are here and you are our Parks liaison this evening, would you lead us in the pledge?
I would love to, Chair Norman, thank you. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thank you so much. Roll call, please.
All righty. Chair Dorlick,
Present.
Vice Chair Mitra,
Present.
Commissioner Breed,
Present.
Commissioner Levy,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy,
Present.
and Commissioner Osland.
Present.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, we have some special items and announcements. And interim director, Brad Morris, please.
Thank you very much. Still division manager, so I don't want to go too crazy up here. So don't give me any more power than I deserve.
Okay.
All right. But no, good evening, commissioners. Just a couple quick announcements. Friendly reminder, July is the month that we celebrate Parks and Recreation through the state of California. So it is Parks Make Life Better Month. So as you're out there, as we always do, we appreciate our parks and celebrate them every chance we can get. Also, with this hot weather, just a reminder in case you have any questions, we do have cooling centers here in San Ramon. We have a web page on the city website where all you need to do is in the question bar, type in cooling centers. It'll take you to all the information. Basically, when our facilities are open to the general public, they are operating as cooling centers. So people have places to go in all the heat. So just so you're aware of that, the county is putting a countywide cooling center webpage together where we're working with the county right now, and that should be updated here shortly. So the countywide people will know what's going on throughout the county with their cooling centers. So update on that. Brief update on the front counters. I think everybody knew with budget reductions, we had to close a couple of our front counters during lunch. So just a reminder, in case you get questions, the San Ramon Community Center and the El Costa Senior Community Center are closed between 1 and 2 currently for front counter operations. The facilities are still open. We're still programming in those facilities. We've got kids running around all over the place at the community center and seniors running around all over the place at the senior center. However, the front counters are closed for operation. Staff is on site to help, of course, in case there's any questions that we can help that don't involve registration or anything like that. If you haven't seen on social media, we do have a survey out there in regards to our tennis courts. We're looking for feedback from the tennis community in regards to what things they think we're doing well, what things we can improve on, what things would they like moving forward in the future. So there's still a little bit of time on that. If you want to participate in that, or the community wants to help fill out that survey, that would be great. Also, we have a couple candidates that are interested in sitting on the Arts Advisory Committee. We have 2 vacancies, the alternate positions, and we have a couple applicants. And so we would like to do interviews in the next couple months, and we're wondering if any of the commissioners would be interested in helping with those interviews. I believe Mr. Dorlick helped last time, and Steve shot his hand up. So, and Carol, we have you as a backup. Perfect. So Kathy will reach out to Will and Steve, and we'll find a date. I think there's only 2 or 3 of them, so it shouldn't take up too much of your night. And that'd be great if we could do it in the next couple of weeks, because we'd like to bring them forward at the August meeting to move them through the approval process. For those that weren't able to attend the 4th of July events, it was a huge success, at least in staff's eyes. Even with the heat, we had a great turnout for the run, which was fantastic. And even though the summer concert was amazing, turnout was a little bit low just because of the heat, and we kind of expected that, but there's nothing you can do about that. That's what happens when you run events outside. And we did have a couple commissioners there, so I'm sure they'll follow up with that during their announcements, but we felt it was a huge success. And then a couple things coming up. Don't forget about the upcoming concert series. This Sunday, we have the Flock of Sea Girls which is a ladies of the eighties tribute band, which will be fun. And then on the 21st, we have Sacred Fired Band, which is a Santana tribute band with, that will be playing Latin music as well as that. And then at the end of the month, we'll be hosting the middle school back to school pool party, which is always a hit for the teens, as well as the senior center's got the summer barbecue coming up. And so if you're looking for some fresh hot dogs or hamburgers, the senior center is always a great place to go for a barbecue. So I believe a couple of the commissioners have gone in the past. So yep, we are up and running in July and happy to see everything going on.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
I'll just add that the August 4th concert, since it's probably going to be before our meeting, is Pride and Joy. So always a fan favorite. And it's my birthday weekend, so I appreciate having Pride and Joy there.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so we've got two temporary employee of the month, one for the month of May and one for the month of June. So Amanda, why don't we start off with the month of May?
Audrey Kim has been selected as the City of San Ramon temporary employee of the month for May 2024. Audrey has worked for the City of San Ramon since May of 2023.
She is a lifeguard for the Parks and Community Services Department's Aquatics Division. Audrey always delivers great customer service, interacts well with her peers, and brings a positive attitude to every shift. Audrey understands the operations at both of the city's aquatic facilities, so she can promptly assist patrons. She executes each task she is given in a timely manner and makes it a priority to fulfill all requests. Most recently, Audrey went above and beyond by helping the Arts Division when they needed assistance with the end of a season dance recital at the Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center. She helped keep the kids under control and ensured they got onto the stage at the right time for their big performance. She kept a smile on her face the whole time and never ran out of energy despite working an early morning shift at the pool that morning. This spring, Audrey was promoted to Lifeguard 2 with the Aquatics Division. In her position, she will be able to utilize her skills and experience to assist the training and mentoring of the new lifeguard staff. Audrey has already shown an aptitude for this when she assisted in the new lifeguard skill assessments as an assisting responder and victim. Audrey is recently completed her sophomore year at the Athenian School and anticipates graduating in 2026. She has plans to pursue education in the medical field or science. Audrey is a valued member of the aquatics team, and we would like to take this opportunity to thank Audrey for her dedicated contributions to the department and the city of San Ramon.
Devin, you've made quite a splash since you've been here. You get a mug, that's for testing the chlorine in the pool, and a certificate for you. So thank you for all that you do for the city and for helping out at a crucial area, which is the pool. So you want to say something?
I really enjoy my job and I really love working at both pools. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you know. All right. And you got two too, right?
I'm honored to be standing before you for two employees from the Aquatics Division. We would like to thank and acknowledge Nami Ranjabarzadegi, Lifeguard 2 in the Aquatics Division as a temporary employee of the month for June 2024. NAMI joined the City of San Ramon staff in May of 2022 and has since become a very important part of our aquatics team. He always demonstrates excellent customer service to the pool patrons, assists with mentoring the new lifeguards, provides top-notch rule enforcement, assists with top-notch rule enforcement while promoting safety, and is a trusted staff member among his peers. NAMI was recently awarded Lifeguard of the Week for the first week of summer. 2024 marks the second year in a row that he's been awarded Lifeguard of the Week for the first week of summer. NAMI was recognized as Lifeguard of the Week because he is proactive in helping new lifeguards, taking care of duties around the pools before they were even asked of him, and helping the aquatics team by picking up shifts needing coverage. He has been an exceptional role model, demonstrating expectations for staff and paying close attention to detail to ensure all operations run smoothly on every shift. NAMI was recently promoted to Lifeguard 2 for the summer. He continues to increase his responsibilities and learn more around the pool operations. NAMI always assists the lead staff with opening and closing duties. He always has an eye out for anything that needs to be done and is the first to volunteer for requests from the lead staff. NAMI continues to grow in his role while demonstrating great leadership. NAMI is a recent graduate from California High School, and having previously completed an internship with the City of San Ramon's Planning Department, he plans to pursue a degree in the field of urban and regional planning. We would like to take this opportunity to thank him and recognize him for his contributions to the City of San Ramon Aquatics Program. Thank you, NAMI.
Thanks for diving right into your tasks, right there. Okay, so here we have that mug and then
Thank you.
a certificate for,
Thank you so much.
your wall or wherever you want to put that. You can put it on your Facebook. I think we have another photo op coming up. Actually, a couple of photo ops coming up.
On three. 1, 2, 3.
All right,
Thank you.
excellent. Thanks again.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We're at public comment. Oh, no. I was trying to pass over that 4.4, so, okay. We've got 4.4, recognition of outgoing chairperson Will Dorland.
All right, is it you? Yeah, so
I don't use the gavel, so I'm not gonna say anything myself. so.
on behalf of the Parks Commission, I would like to recognize Will Dorland.
It's about time you recognize me. We've only been sitting together for 3 years.
Special one. So you have been really big guidance for all of us, including me. And you've been honored, we have all been honored to have you as a chair in the commission as well.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you, Will.
Appreciate
So,
that. Oh, my goodness.
Card from all of us, and we all know
Oh,
that you
thank you.
love coffee. So, so we always see the coffee or two. I cannot deny that.
Bill.
So there you go.
All right.
And the name resonates.
The
So
good stuff. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
always,
Thank you.
It's, the city of San
If I
Ramon is up.
can, before you say anything, Will,
Oh.
I just wanted
I
to
gotta
say
hold
on
off?
behalf of staff,
Okay.
and Kathy really wishes she could have been here because you two go way back. I mean, I think we go way back, but you and Kathy go way back. And it's been an honor to have you as the chair. You always do a great job, always have a passion for parks and community services. And we greatly appreciate that from the staff. And we feel that when you're at our events, you help out with our advisory committee meetings. And that means a lot. So thank you for everything that you've done for the committee, for this department and the commission and the city of San Ramon. So
Thank you.
with that, we have a plaque that you can hang on your wall,
All right.
as well as
A mug.
a mug to put all your coffee in.
All right.
That may last you for like a half hour.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's always an honor to be chosen by your peers. And it certainly is always something that I appreciate and also look forward to. And yeah, Parks and Community Services. So I was right after we were on stage and they introduced us as park commissioners, and then I was right there behind that little barrier there by the sound booth. I was talking to the guy at the sound booth, and somebody came up and said, are you from District 1? And I'm thinking, does he think I'm on the city council? And he starts talking to me about maintenance and the buildings and who's gonna pay for the streets. And I gleefully said, you know what? I'm on the Parks Commission. We just do the fun things. You want to talk to the guy back there on the Planning Commission. So the parks is always, a passion. It's the parks, bringing the community together, the arts. It's really what makes a community thrive. And always glad to serve and be involved. So I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for your support and for tolerating a lot of my bad jokes. But humor is part of the arts as well.
Jokes nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah. And it just you want to have fun what you're doing and you want to enjoy it and you want to express that to our members of the community that we do enjoy what we do. We take it seriously. It's important both to the community and to us. We do take it seriously. But we also want to make sure that we have a collegial and collaborative environment, and that when we sit up here together, we work together and come to good conclusions that benefit the community and our residents. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Speaking of the public, do we have any public comment? We don't. Okay, then I don't get to read that paragraph. Approval of the minutes from June 12th, 2024. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any changes? Spelling errors, punctuation? Nope.
No.
Nope. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes, Will.
Is there a second?
And I second.
All right, let's put that to a vote. And then I get to the fun part of the meeting.
Oops.
I got the mover, I got the second. Looking for the yes. There we go. All right, we're good. Somebody abstained. Oh, okay. You don't have to,
I understand that, Will. You
Okay.
tell me that every time.
Okay, all right. Want to make sure. I like the anonymity. I just don't want that cohesion there. Okay, we're coming to the consent calendar. And of course, the consent calendar is items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar and reason why, and items that are not on the agenda and are within the commission's jurisdiction. So do we have anything on the consent calendar this evening, Brad?
Well, we do actually. Our item on the consent calendar is to remove the consent calendar item from the Parks and Community Services agenda.
See, Kathy's still with us.
And
Very well
she-
done.
yes, this was all her idea. So we could think about her on vacation as we approve the consent item. And being on consent, it doesn't need to be discussed. It can just be voted on and approved or not, or it can be pulled.
Well, do I have a motion to remove the consent calendar from the agenda?
Yeah, I can move the motion to remove the consent calendar as the city staff suggested from our City Parks Commission agenda from going forward.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. We're gonna vote on this right now.
I think we're gonna, oh, is it working?
It is.
It was
All right.
before.
Freaked me out. All right, so we're just gonna go through and take a oral vote here. So Will,
Yes.
all right. Partha Mitra,
Yes.
Steve Breed,
Yes.
Kyle Levy,
Yes.
Carol Lopez Lucy,
Yes.
and Julia Ozlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Look, we haven't even gone to 8.1 and she's just calling me Will. Okay, so thank you, Kathy, and we are to commission business 8.1, election of officers for 2024 and 2025, at which time we will entertain nominations for chair for the 2024-2025 term of the commission. Do I have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Partha Petra as chair for the Parks and Community Services Commission for calendar year, fiscal year, right? 24-25.
Do we have a second?
And I second that.
Fantastic. Are there any other nominations? All right, then we will put it to a vote.
All right, once again, Will Dorlick,
Uh, Yes.
Partha Mitra,
Do I go?
Yeah, you vote.
I hear you. vote.
Okay, yes.
Steve Breed,
Where's he vote no?
That would be funny though.
If he abstained, I would have a problem with
Kyle Levy,
Yes.
Carol Lopez Lucy,
Yes.
Julia Ozlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so as my last official act, I will ask if there are any nominations for the vice chair position for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025.
I'd like to nominate Steve Breed as our vice chair for 2024-25.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? No, then let's put it to a vote.
All right, Will Dorlick,
Yes.
Partha Mitra,
Yes.
Steve Breed,
Yes.
Kyle Levy,
Yes.
Carol Lopez Lucy, and Julia Ozlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Congratulations. All right, it's all yours.
All right.
Like that, he's in charge.
That's
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
The election is complete. I accept the results of the election. And I'm looking forward to a peaceful transition.
Oh. Oh,
Here,
first of all,
If you want this thing, you can. I don't use it, but if you want it, you can have it.
all right, first of all, thank you, everybody, and congratulations, Commissioner Braid, for being our vice chair for the next 1 year. And we look forward for all of your support that I know we will have, and I think we're going to have a fantastic year going for a lot of activities. With that, let's move ahead with 8.2 library hours and operation update presented by Brad Morris.
Yes, commissioners, thank you very much for letting us present this information. Cue the cards. We'll see if that works. And thank goodness, we don't have to vote on anything more in the meeting tonight because seeing the buttons don't work. So this is good. The staff is happy to present to you kind of an update on where we are with our library operations, our hours. The recommended action is just for the Parks and Community Services Commission to receive an update on the San Ramon Library hours and operations. This report is just for information only. There's no action required by the commission. Staff really felt that it was important for the commission to fully understand the library agreement that we have with the county, the operation of the library, the cost of the library, and the hours of the library. So as we all know, with the budget deficit and the cuts that were made, unfortunately, we had to reduce some of our library services. And in case you get any questions on those services or costs or anything, hopefully you'll have some of those hours or information available for you. So staff's going to kind of go over this with you at this time. If I can get everything to work, thank you. I'm working off a couple different things here. So one of the things that really make the library the unique thing that it is the partnership that we have with the county. And that's what really makes it such a successful relationship, is that county-city partnership. And that really started back in October of 1989. with the opening of the San Ramon Library right across the street. Since that time, we've had these partnership agreements in effect. They've changed kind of a little bit over the years. This is just a brief history of that. The first agreement was in 1989 with that San Ramon Library. It kind of got amended in 1994, just through an operational perspective. Nothing significant. We went into a new lease agreement with the county in 2005. And one of the changes with that was the city was going to be responsible for the maintenance and the repairs of the city-owned building, and the county would be responsible for the utilities, refuse collections, reimbursement of city janitorial costs. So those were some of the things that changed with that agreement in 2005. And then our current agreement that we're in, which was really established in 2011, is the current one that we're working under. And it gets renewed annually. And the change with this is that the city is responsible for the maintenance and the repairs of the building, the city buildings, as well as the utilities, the refuse collections, and the janitorial, as well as the cities at that time had an opportunity to ask and pay for additional hours on top of those hours that the county provided to all the different county libraries. So that's the current agreement that we're in at this point. The Doherty Station Library was handled a little bit differently because it's a unique relationship, because we had a third party with the Contra Costa Community College at that time. And so in 2007, when we opened up that college, we did an agreement not only with the county, but with the community college district. And that agreement was that the county would continue to offer their 35 hours of library services. That's how many hours they were offering at that time. The community college agreed to pay a portion of the personnel costs, including a one-time librarian specialist, or excuse me, a half-time librarian specialist, as well as they agreed to add additional hours on top of the 35, but pay for the additional hours for a total of 50 hours at the Doherty Station Library. And those costs were not to exceed $100,000. The city with this relationship, of course, was responsible for the maintenance of the building. It was our building, same thing that we did in our other facilities. And then the city, if there was any additional cost for those hours above the $1,000 the community district was paying, the city would pick up those costs. So that's just a little bit of the history on that. And then recently, in 2021, the community college actually received a grant that gave them the ability to open up their own library closer to campus that was specific to their needs. So at that point, they gave notice that they were no longer interested in the partnership that we have with the city Doherty Station Library, because they opened up their own. And that library is still, the community college library is still accessible by the community. You don't have to be a student to use it. So the community is more than welcome to use it. It's set up a little bit different. I won't get into too many of those details. It's because it's not your traditional stacks and books library. It's much more of a college library, but it has Wi-Fi and study spaces and desks and plenty of spaces for you to go if that's the type of library that you're looking for. So, and so with them opening up their new library, we came into a new agreement with the county at that time, which basically replicated the agreement that we had in regards to the San Ramon Library. Like I mentioned earlier, the city-county partnership, and I do use that word partnership because I really do think it's a great partnership between the two entities. The annual modifications are renewed with a lease supplement agreement. We go through that annually, where we agree upon the hours of service, and some of those things. However, the majority of the agreement is actually renewed annually unless either party gives written consent that they want to back out with a year's notice. So, at least that's under the current terms of the agreement. The lease supplement agreement set forth the number of the base hours that the county is going to provide. Those are the hours that the county provides. It also sets forth those extra hours that the city is going to provide on top of their hours, which equals the actual hours. So that is what what we take care of in the lease agreement each year with that and the funding for that. What I was hoping to accomplish with this next slide is give the commission an idea of the different hours that the county offers. So as I mentioned, the county offers 40 standard hours. And as you can see on the screen or in the presentation, those are the hours that are provided countywide and all of their libraries. And then the cities have an opportunity of adding additional hours on those 3 different tiers. So you can go for 6 additional hours for a total of 46 hours. And you can see the hours there. That unfortunately keeps the libraries closed still on Mondays. You get extended hours on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then the Fridays and Saturdays are from 9 to 5. You have the option of the 12 additional hours for a total of 52 hours, which with this plan or with this, it gets you the Mondays. And then you lose a couple hours on Wednesday and Thursday. The library closes early on those 2 days. And that's how you get to those 52 hours. And then, of course, the 16 hours gets you the Mondays and then the full hours on Wednesday and Thursdays. If you're not familiar, the San Ramon Library used to be at the 16 additional hours. And the Doherty Station Library was at the 6 additional hours once the community college came out of the partnership. And then with the budget cuts, unfortunately, well, thankfully, the city council actually agreed and approved to add 6 hours back in for both libraries. So currently, both libraries for this upcoming year are going to be funded at that 6 additional hours for a total of 46 hours at both libraries. So to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of those library services that are given by the county, to look at it from a cost perspective, the county estimates that it costs the county $1,193,000 to operate the San Ramon Library at those 40 baseline hours. To operate the Doherty Station Library at those 40 baseline hours, it's $868,000, just to kind of give you an idea of the cost that the county ensues with this. And this includes, of course, 1 million items available for physical checkout, over 4 million ebooks and audiobooks, 35 electronic resources such as movies, newspapers, and online learning things. And then as well as the back of house, right? A lot of the stuff that we don't think about, the library administration, the librarians, the county staff, everything that it costs to run those libraries in the different communities. So that's a little bit of a background on those costs. To give you a little bit of an idea that, the slide previous, I talked about the different hours or the packages that as the city can get if they were interested in those extra hours. And this kind of gives you an example of the cost of what that would have cost the city. As I stated earlier, the city council was great and put 6 additional hours back into each library on top of the 40 hours. And so you could see that cost is $107,000, 799. And for the Doherty Station Library, that's close to $63,000 to operate those 6 additional hours. And then this just gives you an idea, if we wanted the 12 hours for those libraries, what that cost would have been. And if we wanted the 16 hours for those libraries, what those costs would have been. So you can see the savings that the city decided to have in regards to, if we would have funded the San Ramon Library like we traditionally have over the last handful of years, it would have been $341,000 plus to fund that San Ramon Library at the 16 additional hours for a total of 56 hours. Sorry, I know there's a lot of numbers and figures, so hopefully this is all making sense with that. So this just kind of gives you an idea of those different costs. This is what council and the department was struggling with is in regards to when we look at these library hours, what are those costs and how do we come up with those funds? So this is specific to the cost to the libraries this year. And then this next slide, I won't get too far in the weeds in this, but this just gives you an example of what the San Ramon Library extra hours cost the city over the last 6 years or last 5 years, including the current fiscal year that we're in. So that just kind of gives you an idea. As you can see, in 2021, the county actually went away from library services on Sunday as a whole throughout the county. That was no longer an option. And so that reduced some of the hours naturally. And then in 2020, excuse me, that was 2020, 2021. And then in 2021, 2022, the county actually decided to move their hours of operation to 40 hours, which reduced some of those hours that the cities were having to cover with those additional hours. And so that just kind of gives you an idea of the different funds that were being paid for those library hours. And then in the same is that for the Doherty Station library, the extra hours cost. The one thing that's a little bit different that you'll notice is the first couple years of this 6-year example that I'm showing you. Of course, the agreement was well before that. This has the community college costs that they were covering for the city on top of the city for those additional hours. So that 1920, you can see the community college put in $100,000 and then the city picked up the extra hours at 19. And then that 2021 is when the community college gave notice that they were no longer interested in an agreement as of January 1 that year. So that's where the city had to pick up those additional costs. And the county, the community college only had to pay half of that. So that's kind of where those costs, and then that gives you an idea of the hours there at the Doherty Station Library and the costs. One of the other things that is with the agreement with the county is the technology equipment replacement cost. And this was something that was always in the agreement that we had with the county. They just never utilized it or asked for payment for those costs until 23, 24. And as you can see, the cost for the San Ramon Library this current year is about $20,000. Which is slightly up from the previous year, which was 17. And then the cost for the Doherty Station is $13 plus $1,000, which is a slight decrease from the previous year. That's because they were able to take care of more stuff this year and they didn't need it. And that kind of evolves from year to year on the equipment that needs to be replaced. And these costs are estimate. The county just bills us for what the actual cost is for those repairs that are made once they made them. And to the cities at that point. So these are just estimates of what those costs would be. And then, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the city, because they're city facilities and per the agreement, the city actually provides the maintenance to those facilities. So the city's responsible for the maintenance, repairs of the buildings, utilities, and janitorial. The approximate annual cost for the San Ramon Library is about $351,844 to maintain that San Ramon Library, which is slightly up from the previous year. And the Doherty Station Library is $206,746, which is a slight increase as well. And these actually would have been more significant increases. However, due to the budget reductions, we actually had to cut back in regards to our service levels, which included carpet and window coverings, cleanings, pest control, janitorial services, and a few other things. So that's even with all those reductions. Those are the costs with those reductions. And I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that's the end of my slides. I know that's a lot of information. I would be more than happy to answer any questions you might have in regards to the library services. We're also going to do this for the Library Advisory Committee, so they have a better understanding of those the services and the costs and everything that goes into it. So, yeah, be happy to field any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Brett. So should it start from there? Go ahead, Carl.
Sure, thank you. Chair Mitra. Thank you, Brad, for pulling all this together. I've seen some of it before, but it's really good to see it all kind of consolidated down here. I appreciate that this is going to be presented to the Library Advisory Committee. Having served on that myself, having this information like presented maybe annually, because there's turnover on that committee, would be a good idea to kind of give them all that background. So I definitely recommend that. In terms of like just a clarifying question, so it does say that the city is responsible for maintaining and repairing the buildings, utilities, refuse collection, janitorial, and then you provided numbers for what that costs. So does that mean that the cost share that we pay to the county for the additional hours is entirely pretty much just for like staff and like the collection materials, things like that? Because it doesn't seem to pay for building maintenance because we're paying for that ourselves.
No, the hours, the dollars that we pay to the county for their services just pay for county services. So that just pays for the librarians. The
Right,
back
no,
of the
that's what
house,
I'm
the books.
saying, yeah.
The dollar amount in regards to the maintenance is just strictly for city staff, city maintenance, city repairs.
Right, okay.
Sorry if I misunderstood.
No, that's fine. So the amount that we pay for the extra hours is entirely for the county to pay the library staff.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just to pay for those extra hours, to pay for the part-time, full-time staff to cover those extra hours and whatever comes along with that.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy?
I don't have any questions. I thank you for your report, though. It's very easy to understand and it's very good.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Commissioner Oslo?
I got a couple questions.
Yeah. please.
I was wondering about the Diablo Valley College Library.
Yes.
Do we have any idea of how many of the high school or middle school kids use that facility? Is there any data on that?
We do not have any data. And we can reach out to the community college to see if that's something we can, anecdotal data, in regards to they come, they hang out, so on and so forth, but we don't have numbers. It's they're coming to study, type of a thing, but I don't have any hard figures to provide, unfortunately, because it is run by the community college.
Okay. I'll reserve comments and feedback, but I have another question about the technology equipment
Yes,
replacement. So I'm assuming it's computers, right? It's computers.
yes.
And is it, what else?
Well,
would it
it's
be?
like, when you come through the main doors, they have counters that count the patrons that come in.
Okay.
So, the book check, stuff that they would need to check your book in and out, all of that kind of technology cost is what and this is the first time they used it. So we haven't seen everything that's going to get folded into this. There was a lot of back end stuff that are terms that unfortunately I don't use every day. And I'm sorry, I don't have those
It's okay.
on my fingertips, but it was more of the technical back end of the house that they needed to replace because the Doherty Station Library was 2017. So that's almost 14 years, 15 years old. So some of that stuff hadn't been replaced by that since then. Same thing for the San Ramon Library. So it's a lot of that stuff.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorlich?
Well, that was gonna be my question regarding it, and I'm sure it includes things like the routers, maybe some wiring.
exactly.
monitors, Any of the equipment that facilitates the checkout and, et cetera. So it's probably a lot of back end. Do we have a schedule of that like we do for park replacement? Is there a schedule that's there?
The county is still working on that. So for example, they did an agreement on a large piece of equipment that was going to cost a lot. And what they've decided to do was, and this is countywide, right? So they're working with all the city managers on how this rolled out and how it would roll out per each city. So in other words, this piece of equipment, instead of billing the city one time for that, they've actually decided that's going to be spread out over the next 5 years. So that's something that the cities have agreed to for that piece of equipment. However, there will be other pieces of equipment that will come with it that need to be replaced over time. I don't think that the city managers or the cities have gotten into seeing a 5-year technical equipment replacement plan yet from them. That is something certainly that we can ask. I would assume they would have it. I just don't know that it's quite there yet in regards to those expectations of those costs.
So it sounds like it's on a scheduled replacement, not necessarily a damaged or, inoperable replacement. So a router,
Right.
it's there for 5 years. Okay, let's replace it because we gotta upgrade the capacity and the throughput. The monitor, it's a pixel count is old, so we gotta replace it, things like that. So it's on a more of a scheduled basis rather than just an operational basis.
I think it's a little bit of both, just
Okay.
like what we do, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, if we find that a piece of equipment can make it another year and it's not going to jeopardize our operations, we would get it another year. If the carpet doesn't need to be replaced, although that it says it needs to be replaced every 15 years, we wouldn't replace that. We would try to, as long as it was looking nice and in San Ramon way, we would continue with that until we needed to replace it. There are some things that you don't want to roll the dice on that then you would replace given the value of whatever that expectancy is, and you would replace those. And the county's operating like that. At least that's how it's been the last couple years in regards to, they found out that they did not need to replace X, Y, and Z. So that was something they rolled over to the next year. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we just pay actuals. So if it didn't need to be replaced, they budget for it, and just in case, and if it didn't need to, they would roll it out for another year.
So do we know what percentage of library users bring their own, iPad, Mac, PC, and just log into the network versus utilizing the actual, monitor, keyboard, processor units that are there? And do we need to keep replenishing those for a very small percentage of people that, whereas, maybe it's like 5% utilize that equipment as opposed just to the network access.
Right.
Versus 95% of the patrons that come in with their own device and just plug in.
Right. And you know what I can do with these questions? This is great. I can dive a little bit deeper into the technical replacement thing and then put it in a rec report so we can better understand it, or come back to the commission at some time, because it sounds like that's something that you're all interested in. I don't know that I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's those things that operate the library. In other words, like the computers they're utilizing for services is more of a program supply.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's what this covers. It's more of their operational expenses.
Okay.
That would be a program supply.
Right.
I can tell you from my visitations of the library, I don't have the fact. I mean, I don't have an exact number, but the majority of the people are bringing in their own devices.
That's what I would be thinking.
And,
Yeah.
and the libraries are getting away from the desktop the computers and going more to the tablets or the laptops. And if you go in, you'll see I'd like to say it's 75, 90% of people they're bringing in their own devices,
They might have-
plugging into the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
and utilize, because they have everything they need on those devices, right?
I mean,
It's
the
the
only thing
handful
might
that
be
are going on
printer
there.
access.
Right.
They're
And then some of them, I don't want to stereotype, but a lot of the stuff that we see on the computer, on the county provided computers, are more of the teenagers that are playing games because they're on the weekend or whatever, or doing different things. But most people are bringing their own supplies.
That's right. Okay. Great, thank you.
Commissioner Britt?
Okay, hey, I have a couple of questions for
Yeah,
you.
please.
First of all, hey, thanks for the report. Super informational. Actually, I read it twice
Good.
because there's a lot of data in it.
Well, there's a lot of numbers.
There's a lot of numbers I was trying to connect, right? So,
Good.
hey, I have a quick question. On page 21 on your presentation, we listed the 6 additional hours. So let me know when you're there. The
Is that in the
PowerPoint,
staff report or
the
the
PowerPoint,
PowerPoint?
I just said PowerPoint because
Sorry.
no bad.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
yes.
okay, we're saying we're adding 6 hours to San Ramon Library and we're adding 6 hours to Doherty Station, but I just did basic math because I couldn't figure out this. So, and we'll have to clear it up in report, but why is San Ramon Library, if you take 6 hours divided by, 52, anyways, it's like $3.45 an hour at San Ramon Library and $201 at Doherty Station. And I'm just thinking, they could be different levels of librarians or whatever, and they might be being paid more, but, and if that's it, it's pretty big. So I'm just curious why there's such a massive difference per hour.
Yeah, great question, and I should have covered that. Thank you for asking. The big difference is the San Ramon Library is significantly larger than the Doherty Station Library, so it takes additional staff. So they may have additional part-time staff to cover the upstairs. That's one of the things that they cover the teen area upstairs during different hours. And so that's the significant difference is it takes a different workforce to cover that San Ramon Library because of the size of it. And I believe the volume of people that they get there compared to the Doherty Station Library. And then it does have to do with specific, I believe they are looking at it in regards to the cost of the actual people that are working on site, at least when they develop the budget. And those certain levels compared to an entry level person, compared to a senior level person, and those numbers on there. And then once again, that is something that we get billed for actuals. So if they're down staff members, we don't pay for those staff members that weren't there. We pay for the actual staffing of the library.
Okay, I'll comment on comments because I just have an idea to clear it up. Okay.
Great.
Hey, the second thing is, do we have like traffic by day, by hour and but for each library?
We do. And I was gonna make that part of this, but I thought we would just get, it's a lot. So I can look for ways to provide an update on how the county tracks usage. And they've made some changes to how they do that after they came out of COVID. So we're still trying to get that data so we can analyze it in regards to, they have the book collections as far as the number of books that come in and out, the number of visits, that kind of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, when we do comments,
Okay,
I'll tell you what I'm doing.
Perfect.
And
I mean, I
then,
have some of it in my
Well,
notes that I can. pull
yeah,
out and-
once I ask my when
Yeah.
do comment, you can link them together.
Okay.
And then
perfect.
the last question I have is, under facilities, we're cutting back on pest control, window washing, the carpet, the whole deal. We're fine, and you mentioned COVID, but we're not gonna, from a health standpoint, our libraries will continue to be healthy
Yeah.
places to go visit.
I mean,
I know, I think we just,
we
know,
live in San Ramon. We
I
had, to
know,
cut- we had to make some cuts. And I think if we have a pest control problem, we will find a way to get rid of the pests. The janitorial, we had to make reductions, but city staff is still going to go in and check the bathrooms and make sure they're not destroyed. So I think the community will see a little bit of a difference, but I don't think it's going to be, San Ramon is still going to be San Ramon.
right,
with
health
all
is
of our
always
facilities.
important. It's a safe,
Yeah,
clean,
for
cleanly
sure.
place to go despite making these decisions.
For
Got
sure.
it. That's super helpful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner Britt. Hey, Brad, great report. Great
Thank you.
report. Big. Yeah. Oh, should I do the comment first or this one first? Not question. Yeah, I do have a question. Okay. Yeah, so great read. So a lot of things I didn't know. So just one quick questions. I'm looking at the page number 19 where the operations, and I see the distribution of 6 hours, 12 hours, 9, 16 additional hours. And I see there is looking like how the distribution is done. There is some planning going on, right? Here, right? How do you distribute that 6 hours among all the 6 days? Right? You know what I mean? Like if we look at 6 hours, right? Monday is closed. Then Tuesday, you added 2 hours, you open up early, right?
Right.
And then Wednesday, you keep it open 2 hours after that, right? You stay that way. Then if you get a 12 hours, it is different. You open up in the Monday. So what's the thought between this distribution of 6 hours and 12 hours and 16 extra hours?
So I think there's the method is a little bit of a couple different things. One, they're strategically looking at when the libraries are popular. So you want to kind of, when you add back in those 6 hours to make it a total of 46 hours, your popular times is opening earlier on Tuesdays and staying open later on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
So there is some survey, some.
Correct. And
Going on.
and not that this is a bad thing, but Years ago, the county kind of adjusted per each city or library in regards to what their hours of operation were. But the problem they ran into was when they need librarians to go from one library to the other, it's hard from a staffing perspective. And they really needed consistency. That's why they did away with the Sundays, because staffing,
Right.
it's hard to find anybody that wants to work on a Sunday. And two, it's the same thing with those hours. They really see that you don't want to add the hours on a Friday and Saturday, because even though those days are popular, you're not going to gain any more admittance by going earlier or later in the day, where you're going to get more people by going earlier or later in those weekdays. So that was the methodology I think that the county was using as they look at that 6, 12, and 16. And then, like I said, they wanted to be consistent. So there was consistency throughout the county in regards to, okay, if this is how many hours of operation you want, these are the hours that you get.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, we have one public comment, Gary, Kevin. You have 3 minutes.
Old commissioner, new commissioner,
Thank you.
chairs. All you commissioners, staff. I wanted to just talk about the library. It's a great asset to San Ramon and the residents here, and we really appreciate it a lot. My family grew up with it. My grandchildren grew up with it. And it's sad to see that we're in a situation that we're in. But I have a question why we can't get the developers and contractors to start and construction people building things within there, these units, they like the city buildings out here. Why can't they put a community building inside of there that their residents can use and their students can go in there and use, or they can get tutored in there, instead of the library having to absorb all these people that are coming? We're getting thousands of more residents coming. If I looked at a survey that was done on the library, it's used a lot. And people are complaining that they can't get a room or the tables are full. And if we keep bringing more and more people in and we're not thinking ahead about some other opportunities to maybe be able to alleviate some of this congestion that we're going to be having, then I think that we're just going to, again, like last night, we're talking about kicking the can down the road with the budget and that. I think we're going to get in the same problem with how we take care of our residents here in San Ramon. I think that the developers, the builders need to be pushed more by the city, the planning department, and here to do things within that community. If they're bringing in 1,000 people, let them provide those services within that. Doesn't have to be a library, but they could be meeting rooms where people can go and meet. I used the library when I was working. Had my salespeople come, some customers come. Sometimes I could get in, sometimes I couldn't. We'd end up at the coffee shop where it's even louder than the library. So I'm just saying, maybe it's time to think ahead as we're developing these properties around San Ramon to get them involved in giving us some other spaces to be able to use for their residents and maybe ours. Just thinking outside the box somehow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have any other comment? Okay. All right. We are going to any comment? So should we start from Commissioner Britt?
Hey, Brad. Thanks again for the report. And my feedback's just for help as we put the report together or share it down the road. I think it'd be really helpful to add population. Like one of our high times, we have a lot of people in, and that will defend when you added hours in here. So I would put in, hey, here's where we're putting the 6 hours and here's why, based off of traffic. And the other reason I asked about traffic is I know, and this is just me living out Doherty Valley, but after school, a lot of the students go to the library to use it. And also there's a lot of students going to the community college out there that I know the community college offers a library, but they use the library. And I'm just wondering if we think about those libraries separately on what hours are open and when they're based on the demand of when they're needed. Like for instance, we might close Doherty on Sunday because Monday is really important because the students use it because of traffic and homework, and it's just the use might be very different. So it's just an idea. The cost per hour for me is crazy. We on this in sense of 345 at San Ramon and 201 if we use Steve Reed math on this, but I think it needs to be described on like, the way I looked at an hour, if they were adding 6 hours to San Ramon, that's 6 hours to Doherty, I'm just thinking one person, whatever, would be 6 hours more a week. So it's not super clear on that cost and why it's so vastly different. So I would be all over that. So I think we need to clear that up a little bit more. And then I would just add, I don't want to take Will's point, but his point about technology was excellent. And I thought, I'm like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So you already got that. And then the last one is as we cut, I know we're not, like to your point, it's still San Ramon, we keep it safe, but I would just add in the report, we're continuing to keep our facilities hygienically clean and, all the, because I know people still worry about that. So as we put this report, so just some feedback, I don't know if it helps or not. Thank you so much again for the nice job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dolan?
So, just a question, thank you. Do we have volunteers through the Library Foundation, like we do for the Historic Foundation, Arts Foundation, Senior Foundation that do, function or do some of the work at the library at volunteer times?
Well, the county has their own volunteer program where they have volunteers as the library as county volunteers. And then, yes, the Library Foundation has volunteers that volunteer at the library in regards to they work at the bookstore, they help with book sales. They, of course, do all the fundraisers to help offset a lot of the costs that the county accrues for the programming of the library. So yes, both have a volunteer program through both of them.
But I mean, do they do any of the normal tasks that the library staff does to supplement the library staff?
The county has a volunteer program that helps offset those tasks
Cool,
in the county. Yes.
great, thank you.
Commissioner, Austin?
So our current library hours at San Ramon are Monday through Thursday, 10 to 8. That's what's advertised.
Well, so thank you very much, Commissioner Osler. Thank you. The 6 additional hours go into effect August 1st. So currently our hours at San Ramon Library are at the 16 additional hours. So they're at the Monday through Saturday operation until August 1st, where the 6 hours go into effect. That's when the reduction's taking place is August 1st. Sorry, I thought I mentioned that at the beginning.
So the new hours for San Ramon would be Monday, they would be closed.
Correct.
And then Tuesday, 10 to 8, Wednesday, 10 to 8, Thursday, 10 to 8, Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to 5.
That's correct.
Okay.
Starting August 1st.
So I'm curious, this, maybe I should have asked this earlier, as far as like demand, I know you said you had numbers, but if it's going to be closed on Monday and it's currently open from 10 to 8 on Monday, I'm just curious why we're not adding something on Monday if Monday's already a long day. So why we're doing the longer days on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's probably some logic behind it, but I'm just curious, is that a City of San Ramon decision or is that the county library?
Right. I mean, the county, you can't do Mondays without doing Saturdays. So it's not like you can say, I still want a 5-day on operation, a week operation.
Mm.
So let's hypothetically say San Ramon's going to be open. Both libraries are going to be open 5 days a week for this 6 additional hours. We don't have the option of saying we want one of the libraries closed on Saturday and it open on Monday. It's not an option. If you want 46 hours, you don't get Mondays. The only way you get Mondays is to go 12 or 16. So I think it came down to cost and what the city council was comfortable with this year during the budget and felt it was great that we can extend those days, but unfortunately lose the Mondays.
Okay, thank you. I was
Uh-huh.
just curious about that.
Yeah, no, and it's a great question because, and I understand why the county does it. It's important for the county to do it, but, at times we were able to do that. It just doesn't make sense from an operational perspective for their staff or for their operations. So this is kind of the menu you get and you get to pick off this menu.
Got it. Thanks, Brad, for
Yeah.
your presentation.
You bet.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy?
Well, I don't have any clear questions actually, but I did think our gentleman gave us some ideas that we should pursue of when we're getting all these new residents. I know we get money for the, parks, etc. But something that they should maybe be looking at is at least have some spaces for people that can use as meeting rooms and etc., which would alleviate some congestion at your libraries.
It's a great idea. Thank you.
Commissioner Levy?
Sure. No, I don't really have too much to add to my earlier comments. Just, it's, it is a little bit frustrating that there's not a lot any more flexibility with the hour tiers or the days or the times that the county basically provides these, and those are the options to choose from, and that's it. But like you said, Brad, it's understandable why they have to have that kind of, rigidness about it. And, it's easier from their perspective, from staffing, from their payroll, all that. So I understand. It's just, it is what it is. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think from a county perspective, like you said, they're trying to meet the needs of Hercules and Concord and San Ramon and Pittsburgh, all over. And so I think from an operational perspective, it was just what they needed to do in order to be efficient.
Any other comment? Thank you, Brett. As I said, it was a nice reading. A lot of things I didn't know, some background history, how the contract was done, our understanding was there. So it was really, really interesting read for me. I just have one comment. This is unfortunate because we are growing. We are getting new families in. We are expecting new families coming in, and we are going down by 10 hours per week library time, where we just heard that. And I agree with that. When we go that, it is pretty popular. Kids come there, people go there, and it is very unfortunate that we're cutting in. But we all understand why it is, why we need to cut short on that. But it is just a unfortunate situation. That's what I felt. That we're cutting starting 1st August, we're going to cut 10 hours of library hours. So, all right.
Yeah, and I think just to add on that, sorry, to help the commission and the community's minds, San Ramon still has the second largest amount of hours in the county. The only other city that's larger than us is Walnut Creek. And we're one of 2 cities that have 2 libraries within their communities. So I completely agree with what everybody's saying. And I know how important the library services are to the community and to the council and to the commission. But I think as we get through these times, we will. And then, of course, I can see that being a priority, bringing them back. But it is kind of a relief, even though we've had to reduce those number of hours to still be over. Some communities are only at 40, 46, 52. Well, we're at 80, 92 hours for our whole community between both. So as it is hard, in my mind, I think we're better off than some communities, which is nice.
Of course, we are San Ramon, so we are
Right.
better off. We are better off in any way. But that's a very good point to
Thank
note
you.
that. Thank you. Yeah. Any? No. Yeah. So there is no action required on this one, right?
Nope.
So, yeah.
We appreciate you. And if you have any other questions, just let us know.
All right. Moving on to the next agenda item, community garden update presented by Jessica Pineda Berito, recreation technician.
Good evening. Sorry. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the time to give this presentation. My name is Jessica, and I am the facilities technician over at the Costa Senior and Community Center. And I also assist with overseeing the rental community gardens. Today, I'm here to give a presentation on an update of our gardens. Alrighty, so we're going to start off with our North Community Gardens. We have a total of 52 allotments. They're all sized at 25 feet by 15 feet. Then we have our South Community Gardens. This is neighboring our Costa Senior and Community Center. Right now, we have a total of 86 allotments. We have 40 medium, 33 large, and 13 premium. Sorry, I wanted to go back to this slide. We previously had 90 allotments. This year, we have reduced them due to the popularity of our larger allotments. So over the past 6 years, we have seen an increase in both occupancy and revenue. That has to do with its popularity right after COVID, and also our consumer price index increase that we've had since 2022. Our wait list has also significantly increased within the past few years. Right now, our South Community Garden has a total of 23 gardeners on the wait list. 15 of them are going to be residents and 8 of them are non-residents. Over at the North Community Garden, we have 35 gardeners on the wait list, 20 are residents and 15 are non-residents. I do want to just make it clear, San Ramon residents will always receive priority over the allotments. And this year, an enhancement that we had on the wait list was we have added a link to our website. This has allowed for more gardeners to join our wait list. Sometimes they're working, they can't get a hold of us. So this allows them the opportunity to still join. Alrighty, so I wanted to talk a little bit about garden members. Over at the North Community Gardens, many of the gardeners use it as an outlet just to garden. At the South Community Garden, it's pretty unique. They use it as an outlet to garden, but also build community. Right over to the side, there is a picture. I just wanted to really show this. They sometimes will meet on their own and just share their harvests, and that just shows how strong of a community they are over at the South Community Garden. Both of our gardens have senior members. 2 at the South Community Gardens are from Sunny Glen, so a nearby senior living area. And we also have residents, non-residents. We have homeschooling parents, members that just moved to San Ramon and are looking to connect with others. Our types of gardens that we've seen holistic, herbal gardens, fruit and vegetable gardens, of course, flower, beautiful rose beds, drought-resistant gardens, and many of them have dedicated their beds to pollinator gardens. I also wanted to chime in on this slide, not just the type of gardens, but also the creative structures that they have built to combat the ground squirrel and gopher problem that we experience at both gardens. Alrighty, so at the South Community Garden, we've had a pollinator station. It was previously a row. It was housed in a row of rental allotments. This was because before we didn't really have such a popularity that we have now. So we wanted to utilize the beds as best as possible. Now with the significant increase of popularity of that garden, we've had to get pretty creative on where we're going to put our pollination station and also how we're going to accommodate new rentals. So we are finding empty spaces throughout the garden, beautifying the garden to be able to continue to provide that pollinator section. Within the pollinator sections, you will find a variety of California native plants that are currently planted in the pollination sections. On the top left corner, you will actually see a caterpillar. We had 2 caterpillars, which is pretty cool. At the pollinator stations, there is a mud supply that's available. This is important for honeybees so they can have access to a water supply. For butterflies as they get their minerals and nutrients from soil, and many native bees use mud to make their nest. Alrighty. So why it's important to us to keep a pollinator station? Well, the top photo is going to be Whole Foods produce with bees, and the bottom one is going to be without bees. So a third of every bite of our food is created with the help of pollinators. So a few enhancements, recommendations that we have, feedback that we've received from gardeners. Over at the South Community Garden, it gets extremely hot in San Ramon in the summer and there's not much shade. So I think maybe just increasing shade, whether that be installation of large trees or maybe a shade structure, would be amazing because it does make it kind of difficult for gardeners to get out there in the summer. Then we just wanted to tie it back to our master plan. So per master plan goal 1.c, it is to provide secure biking parking at parks and recreation facilities. There's a growing number of gardeners that are no longer able to operate a vehicle and have considered biking to the gardens as a form of transportation. So I think maybe adding a bike lock, especially at the Crow Canyon North Community Gardens, would be amazing, so that we can accommodate that for them. And then per master plan goal 4.3, Crow Canyon Gardens enhancements. So increase the number of rentable garden allotments. Again, the wait list is growing. Just this week, I received 3 more people. So we're at a total of around like 38 people onto our wait list. So adding a few more allotments would be great to be able to accommodate others. And the future of the garden. Well, we are hoping to continue to keep that 100% occupancy at both gardens. We want to continue to find avenues to enhance the community gardens. And we want to actually incorporate workshops to help our gardeners improve their gardening skills and their knowledge. And that's it for tonight. Any questions?
You?
Chair Mitra, I should have opened, and I just wanted to say for those that have been on this commission for a while, you've been through the journey of what to do with these gardens. And some are successful and some are not, and they've kind of gone through these waves. And the senior center, or what we're referring to as the South Gardens, has always been a challenge. And it is amazing to see what those 2 individuals have done for our gardens. The success of these gardens are directly drawn back to the passion that James and Jessica have put into them. The community can feel it. They want to be a part of it. And clearly we've done so good that now we have more people that want to be a part of it. Luckily, we have more beds coming with the community, with the Crow Canyon Gardens. But anyways, I just wanted that recognition to come through because it really is amazing when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something, what you can make happen. And especially with this program, especially at those South Gardens, they've done an amazing job. So kudos.
Yep, very well second that. Thank you, James and Jessica.
Thank you.
All right, so clarifying questions. Maybe we can start from this side.
What do we charge for the gardens? Like a small, a large plot? I forgot what it was. I should look.
Yeah, at the South Gardens, I don't have them quite memorized, but I could tell you, medium allotment is usually $45 per the year. Which your renewal year is going to be January 1st through December 31st. Then we do have our large allotments. Those are usually $78. And this is for a San Ramon resident. And our premium allotments are going to be around $97. And I can definitely get you the right numbers. But
I just was wondering, I should know that, trust me. So, yeah.
and the North Gardens are $268. That one I do have
Yeah, and
memorized.
Do they have like is there any foundation or anything involved in the gardens? I mean, like you talked about them getting together and, I'm just thinking about, how do we pull them all together, get their feedback? Do we have a process and tell them about what we're thinking about doing, as a city with gardens, like you mentioned, the bike lock or the bikes and, the shade? So do they have like a community, the foundation? How do we get them together to talk about priorities and issues and what we're trying to do to make sure they're aligned on what we're going after?
Yeah, so we don't have quite an established foundation, but the gardeners are, I think with us doing checkups. We usually do our routine walkthroughs every 2 weeks.
Okay,
We get the chance to bump into them and, or they'll just give us a call, shoot us an email, and we always take note of these, the things that they would like to see enhanced in the gardens.
and that's where you got the three parties. They provided feedback. We're
Yeah.
talking, okay. All right, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Twice a year. Jessica provides every kind of
Oh,
update
really?
for any kind of resource we provide. Not to mention, like she was, referencing the constant correspondence.
That's perfect feedback if you just.
Yeah.
go to the mic.
Oh, perfect. Sorry.
James, I could hear you though, and I didn't bring my hearing aids. That's super helpful. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
you.
Vice Chair Britt. Okay,
So we've got a great waiting list. And by the way, I remember when we were discussing shutting down the
The
garden
gar-
lots
right.
at
yeah,
The
at
south
the
one.
Alcosta Community Center because of non-usage, the rough terrain, the hill,
Yeah.
et cetera. So great job. I'm going to assume that unlike Montreal Canadian tickets, you can't deed your spot to somebody. If you end, then the next person on the waiting list.
That's
There's
correct.
no inheritance.
No,
spot.
unfortunately not.
Just wanted that. And I mean, regarding the biking, so are we looking at putting in more locking facilities, or what are we looking at? And I guess I'm a little concerned because if you feel like you can't drive a car, I would think it's more dangerous to drive a bike.
drive bike.
I agree.
So do we also, I mean, I know there's transportation that's available for the, the senior center. Is there some thought to have the transportation also, provide that for the garden if they want that, rather than, getting on a bike and,
Yeah.
going through the streets?
So I think in regards to the bike, we're just kind of looking for just a bike rack where they can just, bring a bike chain, and chain it up. And I do agree that that's a great idea, in regards to maybe possibly, adding that as part of the route. I can definitely just pass that along.
Yeah, I'd rather see that than, a bunch of people, riding a bike and getting into, more trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roslin?
Thank you, Jessica. Great presentation. Thank you, James. Yeah, I remember the South Garden was pretty bleak and, no one wanted to grow anything and it was just seemed like the rodents were really out of control and it was just no shade and So this is very exciting to see every plot has been rented. Question I have about the South Garden, is there any priority given to seniors for that particular garden?
As of now, we're just giving residents a priority, but I do think maybe that's an option to explore,
Okay.
in future years.
Just curious
Yeah.
about that. And then for the North Garden, I know that there has been some discussion with the Crow Canyon Gardens renovation
Mhm.
about adding, I can't remember how many beds, but I want to say about 10 to 15 new garden beds. So that's something that is exciting on the horizon, whenever that will take place. But for that North Garden, that's really popular because it does have the shade. And I mean, it looks like people renew year after year. Curious what the turnover rate is. Is there much turnover?
So I want to say within the past 2 years that I've been handling the renewals, probably had like around 8 gardeners, just say they can no longer do it or they've moved out of the area. So I would maybe like 8 gardeners out of the 52 allotments.
Okay, so not much turnover at all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Well, it's really, your report's really great because I've probably been on here for a long time, Will, and I have. But the thing of it is, I mean, I was on with with a staff person when this all started. And I mean, we had lots of complaints and they didn't have enough fertilizer and it was just, we had a lot of things going on. And so we would meet with them. But I think you've done a wonderful job because everyone is always like the North Gardens because it's, it's a much easier place to garden
Yeah.
because it's not on a hill, plus the fact that, you know, there's much more shade and et cetera. So I think what you've done to bring it to this point is really great. And like Julia said, that there is about, I think there was about 10 or 12 proposed that we'd like to do when the gardens actually get done in that area. But yeah, it started and was rather bleak when we would have the meetings because, and there would be only about 5 or 6 people that were really interested. But I found out when you went there that they do communicate with each other than just having an actual meeting for everybody, but they share their fruit or they share their tomatoes or whatever. And I think they have a lot of relationship there at the North Garden that I've seen in the past.
Yeah. It's pretty nice to see.
Yeah, but I thank you for your services of what you've done to bring it to this point.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kyle.
Sure. Thank you. A terrific presentation, Jessica. I'll just echo the rest of my fellow commissioners on that one. I did have a question sort of in relation to turnover, which, you know, it sounds like it's low and it's really good that we have full occupancy now of both these gardens. It sounds like that has definitely not always been the case. So it's a good problem to have. Is there like a minimum participation level? Like, let's say the next person on the wait list gets very lucky, they get a plot, they pay their fee, and then they just never do anything with that plot. Does the city have like a word with them and say, are you going to do anything with this? Or do we just sort of like, you know, as long as we get paid for it, we don't really, you know, probe too much further?
Yeah, great question. So around like every 2 weeks, we do walkthroughs at both gardens. And that's really where we're looking for like overgrowth. We're trying to just encourage everyone to maintain their beds. There are very few beds that maybe life gets in the way and they're able to maybe grow, but they are required to keep them clean. Yeah, so we do always go and we just, hey, what's going on? And then they'll let us know what's going on. I'm like, okay, well, can you clean it up? You got a week.
Okay.
And they're usually really good about doing that.
Okay. Thank you. It's good to know that the city's, you know, actively keeping an eye on that and just making sure that things work
It
out.
is,
So
I agree.
good to know. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jessica and
Thank
James.
you.
It was a great effort. And I remember a few years back when I went there as a facility team member. Well, we visited that space there and
Okay.
we didn't think that it will come around this way. So thank you.
Thank you.
One quick question. I know you said that we give preferences to the residents.
Mhm.
Looking at the number, again, I'm not trying to nitpicking here.
Yeah.
We have 50%, we have 15 and 8, 20 and 15, even more than that. So right now we have very one-sided, if I look at it that way, right? 50% non-resident and 50% in that. So I know if I have a bed, I'm not going to leave it. So it's going to stay that way. Going forward, any new beds, will we be considering that residents first, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for, right?
Yeah. So we're always going to give residents priority on that wait list.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Madam Clerk, do you have any public comments? We don't have public comments. Okay, let's go to our comments then from commissioners. Maybe we can start with Commissioner Levy.
Sure. I don't really have anything to add from what I said before. Again, great presentation. Thank you, Jessica.
I am so pleased that we have positive comments now and are on our way as to what it was years ago. So I just thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Nosla?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this too. I'm thinking that, I know this is kind of a wild idea because we have a gate there, but there's Forest Home Farms where we do have a garden and we have an organic garden there. Has there ever been any discussion about perhaps having some garden beds that could be rented in that space? The gate might be a problem, but I just want to throw that out there.
Sorry.
Okay, Brad,
My button
that was
started.
too long.
Sorry, I apologize. I think that's a great idea. Excuse me. I think that's a good idea. We can look at it when we can weigh those positives and negatives in regards to gate access. As you know, water is an issue out at the farm and where would we get it from and run it and all of that.
True.
But we can certainly look at all of those details as well as other sites. I mean, if this continues to be the trend, then we might have to look at some of our other spaces. And is this something that we try to, create more opportunity for when we can gauge that with the community response? And I think like some of our public speakers have mentioned, the community that's going to be moving into our downtown core is not going to have a garden.
No.
So, how do we accommodate that for those interests? So, I think right now we're just excited to be at the place that we are, and then definitely we can look ahead on where can we create more opportunities if that continues to be the demand.
Right, right. And, so the Forest Home Farms is one place. What
Perfect.
We're talking about the woodlot.
Right.
And so there's some property that we could consider
Yeah.
maybe adding more garden beds
Yeah.
for our residents.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
woodlot too.
yeah.
Good idea, Jill.
So, I think the only other comment, let's see what else I was gonna ask you guys. I'm just really happy because I think this is, just community spirit. I love where we showed how the group is there to like congregate, create community. And because that particular garden area, the south end is a little bit more difficult, they found ways to find the right plants that are going to thrive and use it as teaching opportunities, teaching moments for, the homeschooling. I saw that in your report too. So very cool stuff. Keep it up. Keep pushing it. I love it.
Commissioner Dolly?
No, I'm good. I would love to see you 3 acres.
Commissioner Bridge?
So, after listening to Commissioner Dorlick and Lopez Lucy, I did not know they were in such a state. So, and I gotta say, I just kind of connecting dots what Brad said in the beginning. If you take a look at like good news, right? This is amazing good news. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is really good news. But it wouldn't happen if you had good leaders. Like you two have done such a really, I think Brad, I want to make sure it didn't float over my head, but without the hard work that you're doing to make a difference in the gardens, it's phenomenal. So, hopefully you pause to say it wouldn't happen with your hard work. And so thank you so much. I mean, I just listened to Carol, and Carol's got a lot of experience. I listened to her a lot along with Will. And then Brad, that's really cool. So thanks so much. My comments with this is that you're creating a really cool community, and it's we're creating a huge, for $75 for a plot is a layup drill. I mean, that's such a great value, especially the way the world is nowadays. So what I would say is, how can you foster your community that you guys have? What's the next step you take it to? And then, we're in a report where later on, we're talking about we're having gardeners come speak to do that. But how can you foster your community to do that? And then also help with prioritization of what they want to get done, and how can they self-fund some of this stuff, right? So, water's going to continue to go up. Stephen talked about utilities and all that stuff, but how can they create maybe foundation? Maybe we create something where they can help, raise money for what they want to get done in the garden if they have that much passion, because they're getting a smoking deal on all this stuff, which is the right thing for us to do as a city. They're doing the right thing, but how can they help themselves a little bit on some stuff, especially where the budget is, right? Because I agree with that. I'm all over the shade one. Like, I think it makes so much sense. The bike thing I'm struggling with, to be frank with you, because I'm with Will, but the shade one is a massive priority. So how do we make that happen? And that way you'll get more people into the House Garden. And last thing I'd tell you is, I think it's so cool that you guys walk every 2 weeks, because being present is saying you guys are important. How can we help? And so that's really good too. So, hopefully you leave tonight. So really nice job. I was super impressed, especially after listening to Carol, and we'll talk about the state of where we've been, and we're great. This is, every now and then, I mean, we have a lot of really good news, but this is like the best news I've heard in months. So thank you for all the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you so much for your time.
So,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. So James and Jessica, really good job and with what you guys have done as well as the presentations. Really loved it. One thing I just wanted to say, this is a great success story for the city, not only for the city, but for the Parks Commission as well, Department as well. How do we promote it more? I don't know how many people who are not directly involved with this actually aware of this. I have seen some probably school visits, right? School kids visits, something like that,
Okay.
seniors visits, something who might be interesting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
arranging that and we can see how people are excited. Some people will be excited about
Yeah,
that,
I
right?
agree.
And especially for the kids might be more adaptable to this and then go there. So some level of promoting this will be probably going to our Parks Department literature, maybe some pictures, some success pictures or something like that. Probably make it more thing, and people will know that we have something like that. I don't know how many people actually are aware of this.
Yeah, I
that we've been
think,
doing this.
and I don't want to be I think that's a great idea and we can definitely look at it. One of the challenges that we run into some of these gardens, like at the farm, is people unfortunately think they're open to the community when they're actually the gardener's garden. So we need to be a little bit sensitive of that because we do get a little bit of that in our spaces and we don't want to create that as an obstacle for the gardeners.
Good
But
point.
I completely agree to you that we need to highlight this more and how can we let the community know about this success story, but be sensitive that we don't want to send the wrong message. Because I know, speaking for the farm, for example, you get people that just go in there and start picking tomatoes and it's like, well, wait a minute, that's, so anyways, we want to be sensitive of that to show it off, but also respect the gardeners because technically they're their plots, at least for that time period.
Yep. Good point. Good point.
Well, that's true what you were saying, because when we first started there at the farm, people would just come in and pick the oranges and go through the fence and whatever. They wouldn't ask for permission or anything. So we had a lot of problem right there at the beginning to get people to aware that that was private property and that wasn't just to go and pick and choose what they wanted from the farm.
Yeah.
That was one of the problems too, was there, but that's really, they worked on that and that's pretty much solved, but I do know they have those problems at the North Gardens because I've known some of the people that have gardens and they go to pick their fruits or their successes and
Yeah.
then somebody's picked them for them or sometimes smashed them or whatever.
Yeah.
That's sad.
But I mean, that's gonna happen. So you're walking there every 2 weeks is
Yeah,
gonna hear that.
every 2 weeks.
Or thereabouts,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you, Jessica.
you.
Thank you, James.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right. We are moving on to 8.3, I'm sorry, 9.1, recreation maintenance and operations report by by Brad Morris, division manager and the director.
No, don't say that. No. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Kathy, if you're listening, no, you have to come back.
Acting director. Sorry, I should have said that.
No, it's all good. Just a couple things that I wanted to point out on the rec report and the maintenance report. I think you can see throughout the recreation report that summer is officially here. We are up in full swing, from camps to pools to training staff to summer barbecues for the seniors to the ice cream social. Everybody is enjoying that summer fun. So hopefully you can see that come through in those reports. Also, another bit of exciting news for all the pickleball fans out there, because we know what a growing sport that is. They were all happy to see the new dividers that were installed. Those were created and installed by our very own Becky Adams, who put those together. And yep, so she's a little handy woman on the side. So she made those, and we've seen them in other locations. And anyways, it's great. It keeps the balls from rolling between the courts and from people being hurt. And of course, the pickleball participants are ecstatic because they were putting backpacks down and other things. So this was great. And from the maintenance perspective, I hope everybody noticed our new compost hub at the Crow Canyon Gardens. That's exciting. That is done through our Public Services Department, and those are free. That's free compost to all of our residents. Feel free to come by with a shovel, a bag, and a bucket and grab your free compost, take it back to your gardens and garden away. So that's at Crow Canyon Gardens. So that's exciting for our residents to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And then last but not least, I wanted to point out the schedule for the Bollinger Canyon Fountain is changing with the reduction in the budget with our services. So I know you guys, you get a lot of questions from the community on, or, on what are those hours and why, and when's it getting fixed and all of that. So just make sure you read that because that might help you answer some of the questions. But unfortunately, we had to make savings, and that was one of the things that we can save on. And as we all know, electricity and water, and it's expensive. So, yeah. And other than that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions the commissioners might have on any of the other reports that I didn't cover.
Any question from anybody?
No, but next job, 500 individual swimming lessons versus pretty sure that's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, they're cranking. It's a good service, and it's amazing we can continue to find pool space,
Yep.
but we do. We use every little drop of
Very
water.
popular, Very popular.
So the artist Malinik, is that any relation to our staff member?
It is. It's funny. You should catch that. That's
Oh.
wonderful, wonderful eye. That's her father-in-law.
Really?
So it's her
Great.
father-in-law. He's at the community center. He's got a great little art collection. It's really nice. You should go by and check it out.
Oh,
And then May, I understand, was hired on the side in regards to his IT department, and she put together his webpage in case he sells any items. So you can check out the webpage. I believe that's, May and her very little spare time she has, because I feel like she's always working, put that together for him. So it's cute. It's a cute little family thing, and it was nice to meet him. And it's a great exhibit. So come by and check it out.
All right, moving on to item number 10, Commission liaison reports and announcements. So we'll start with our Commissioner Dolic.
Oh, well, there was not an Art Advisory Committee meeting in June. If there had been, we would have had to have it in Hawaii. And there was no. Oh, okay.
Really?
And there was no, Brad knows what I'm talking.
All right,
And-
you lost them.
and-
Yeah, I was lost too.
And there was no teen council meeting in June as well. They're on summer break. I think that would probably be it, except summer concerts coming up and.
Yep.
Oh man, the icy food truck was great. I went back for seconds.
Thank you. Commissioner Oslo.
No open space advisory committee meeting in June. So we'll be having one, I believe, in July. I have only one city council meeting to report out on, which was last night. It was July 9th. And topic of discussion was proclamation honoring Maria Ferner. She has officially retired after 23 years of service with the city. And I thought it was so funny. She outlasted 5 city managers. That was one of the comments. So, yeah. So she'll be missed, but we have Brian Bornstein who is taking her position. So let's see, the new business was review and approve draft sales tax ballot measure documents. So, where they are is the presentation Scott gave was about kind of recapping what's been done. So what the city has done is adopted the new fee schedule. So they've evaluated fees and adopted a new fee schedule, looked at what could be cut from the budget. So that's taken place, and they've explored additional options, which were property tax, transfer tax, hotel bed tax, business license tax, and last but not least, sales tax measure. So what's now in front of the city council is moving forward a 1% sales tax for a 10-year sunset. I've never heard that term before, but for a 10-year time period. And with citizen oversight. So the dates were July 9th was to discuss the contents of what this would look like. July 23rd, it's coming back to the city council with the feedback that the city received. And they'll develop and promote the feedback that they received. And then August 9th is the filing deadline, and November 5th, we vote on it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez Lucy?
I have no report because I did notify Commissioner Will that I was going to be gone, so I wouldn't be able to do the seniors. And so therefore, I was in Italy when they met, so I couldn't very well come home for that. But the one thing I want to say on the fee schedule and then I was home for 3 or 4 days and went to Chicago for a meeting. But I think our taxes that we have on hotels and everything are one of the lowest, because I can tell you in Chicago, they're pretty high. Because they add about $20 to what they quote you as their fees when you have a convention. So I think they should have looked at that maybe a little bit too, but that was just my comment. So I will be ready for August to make my.
Thank you. Commissioner Levy?
Sure. So for me, I have the June 25th city council meeting to report on. So I'm going to do this a little bit out of order chronologically. So this meeting was 2 weeks ago, before the one that Commissioner Oslin covered. For the June 25th one, the items of business were a proclamation declaring June 2024 as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, which is very nice. There was an introduction of Deputy Chief Jonas Aguilar by Fire Chief Paige Meyer to the City Council, because Deputy Chief Aguilar is the new district representative for San Ramon and will be kind of the liaison for the city. So that was the special presentations. The unfinished business was the City Council actually adopted the fiscal year 2024-2025 operating budget that we've heard all about. It was balanced due to a combination of program cuts and one-time spending. But anyway, that was in the books, it's adopted, so that's good. And then the other item of business was, first a presentation about the results of a public opinion survey that the city had regarding the sales tax revenue measure. The results of that survey were, for the most part, favorable from the residents who were surveyed, which was nice. There was spirited public comment about those results. In the interest of full disclosure, I was one of them. And then, as Commissioner Oslin said, the ultimate end result of that was the City Council directed staff to come back to the City Council with the draft language for a sales tax measure of 1%, the 10-year sunset, and language for citizens oversight. And that was that meeting. The only other thing I will say is the Library Advisory Committee has a meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. at San Ramon Library. Due to a work commitment with my day job, I cannot attend, so I know it's short notice, but if any of you are available and would like to go, please feel free. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Okay.
You can hear my presentation all over again.
Yeah, I know.
Careful. At least you don't know what questions I'll ask you.
I thought you liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. Vice Chair Briggs?
Yeah, so with Commissioner Dorlick and I had no team council, but I will cover that. But I did go to the July 4th race and handed out medals. And actually, I actually got to hand out the winner medals, which it was just Sonar and I. So because I felt like it's the lowest common total pole in there. Anyway, so we handed out all the medals. So I just want to say that I thought we had a really good turnout for how hot it was. I mean, we had like 680 people or something like that that ran. It was huge, and with the mile and stuff. So it's, once again, Keith and Mike and team did such a nice job. Organizers cleaned up, and I think people had a really good time. So nice job to the city organizing run. I think it's a really important run to start the July 4th holiday off, and so and we handed out a lot of medals. So that was fun. So that's all I have to share. So.
Thank you. And from my side, there was no planning commission meeting on 4th, obviously. So there was nothing to report for this. All right. With that, Madam Clerk, is there anything else before we adjourn? All right. So with that, we adjourn the Parks Commission meeting at 8:50 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Great job.